On today's episode, Tesla sends $5 billion to Elon's xAI, new details revealed from Tesla's second quarter, and we get to the bottom of the wet rag trick. Should Tesla invest $5 billion into Elon's xAI startup? Users on X say yes, and Musk seems eager to follow their recommendation. Now, this wouldn't be the first time Musk has used a poll from his X account to make a major business decision, and it probably won't be the last either. Of course, as Elon writes, this still needs to be approved by the Tesla board and shareholders. But is any of this actually a good idea? It does sound a bit sketchy at first, but the more we dig in, the more everything starts to make sense. So xAI has already managed to reach a valuation of $24 billion in just over a year of operation. That comes after a Series B funding round in May that pulled $6 billion of new money from venture capitalists and investment firms. This demonstrates an expectation from market leaders that xAI will continue to grow and provide a return on investment, which is a very positive sign. Now let's talk about what xAI has to offer, because we know that Tesla is already deep into their own AI development, so why would they need to partner with an entirely new AI venture? Well, you see, Tesla is focused on one very specific real-world goal: make cars that can drive themselves at all times in all places, which is an epic task, and that's what we are seeing the company push towards right now with their Giga Texas data center, the new AI5 hardware, the Dojo supercomputer, all of that. xAI is working on a much different goal. They want to make a generalized AI, something that has no specific purpose, but is adaptable to just about any scenario, and the first step in that direction is Grok. Right now, Grok is a text-based large language model, which is a pretty ideal foundation for a generalized AI. If Grok can master language and communication, then it can branch out into a whole host of new applications. Grok can become a personal assistant inside every Tesla vehicle. It can become the mind and voice of the Tesla bot, a user interface for the autonomous Robotaxi, AI applications that are totally separate from what Tesla is currently invested in. So if Tesla and xAI were to remain separate companies, then Tesla would still have to invest their money into developing a generalized AI system of their own. The Optimus bot is useless without a language-based general-purpose AI model, and that would involve a whole new set of expenses on top of everything that is already being spent to develop the self-driving AI. So what we are looking at is a total cost that far exceeds $5 billion and a time frame that could extend years into the future. You see what we're going for here. If xAI succeeds in accomplishing their goal, then Tesla will win by association, so why not join forces? Here's an update on where all of the current Tesla projects stand according to what we learned on the second quarter earnings call. Elon himself projects optimism mostly in two key ventures, autonomy and Optimus. He said, "We are super excited about the progress across the board. We are changing the energy system, how people move around, and how people approach the economy. The undertaking is massive, but I think the future is incredibly bright. I really just can't emphasize the importance of autonomy for the vehicle side and for Optimus." So what caught our eye was that Tesla now expects an increase in production in the third quarter after producing 22,540 fewer vehicles in the second quarter than the first this year. Cybertruck, which we already declared as the best-selling electric pickup truck on the planet, has more than tripled and, even more importantly, is on track to become profitable by the end of the year. Preparations for the Tesla Semi factory continue and are on track to begin production by the end of 2025. We also just saw Dan Priestley of the Tesla Semi team share the current status and the updated rendering of the Semi factory in Nevada. Yes, it has Semi written on the roof. Tesla significantly increased deliveries in several markets supplied by Giga Shanghai in Q2, including South Korea, and Giga Berlin began producing vehicles for right-hand drive markets, also delivering its first units to the UK. Tesla also began delivering vehicles to Qatar, while increasing deliveries to Israel and Taiwan. Tesla's currently installed annual vehicle capacity is at 2.35 million vehicles per year. But considering the notes in the shareholders' deck, this capacity could raise to close to 3 million vehicles using the existing production lines, thanks to the plans for new vehicles, including more affordable models that remain on track for start of production in the first half of 2025. These vehicles will utilize aspects of the next-generation platform as well as aspects of our current platforms and will be able to be produced on the same manufacturing lines as our current vehicle lineup. We also learned that the lithium refinery in Corpus Christi is coming along and will start production in 2025. Oh, and who said Tesla isn't building new supercharging stations? Tesla Supercharger locations have now jumped to 6,473, growing 23% from the same time last year, and overall charging stalls stood at 59,596, up 24%. Tesla also had 1,286 store and service locations, up 12%, and 1,896 vehicles in its mobile service fleet, up 7%. We also learned that the Robotaxi event is pushed to the 10th of October, 10/10, and that it might be called the Cybertaxi instead, as Musk seemed to have a little Freudian slip on the call. Robotaxi will be manufactured here at our HQ in Texas, he said. We also heard Roadster is still coming. Elon said they've completed most of the engineering and expects to be in production next year. We also got a little update on the 4680 cell production. From what we've heard around the industry, Musk has set a deadline for Tesla's 4680 battery technology, the name for its cylindrical battery, which is 46 millimeters in diameter and 80 millimeters tall, to cut its cost and scale up one of its key innovations by the end of the year. If you've read the latest Walter Isaacson biography on Elon Musk, you already know how Elon goes on what Walter calls these surges, lighting a fire under the teams, rallying them towards a single, often seemingly impossible goal and timeline. We expect that this goal right here is a 4680 cell ramp-up and the successful launch of the dry cathode process. This seems to now be confirmed by Lars Moravai, the Vice President of Vehicle Engineering, who says they have set a cost parity target for the end of the year. The production ramp of 4680 cells is going well, delivering 51% more cells than in the first quarter while reducing costs significantly. Lars said they currently produce more than 1,400 Cybertrucks worth of 4680 cells per week, and they built the first validation Cybertruck with dry cathode process made on our mass production equipment, which is a huge technical milestone, and they are super proud of that. It so happens that a senior director on Tesla's 4680 team, Bon Eggleston, confirmed that Joe Tegmeyer, the best drone pilot at Giga Texas, did indeed catch that very Cybertruck with dry cathode 4680s. He said, "It is fully made by Tesla on our mass production scale dry electrode machines." Bon also showed off his great sense of humor, replying to a joke on whether the center of gravity is altered, with it being surprisingly similar considering it's carrying the weight of 5 years of blood, sweat, and tears. Does give a little glimpse on what the team has been through, doesn't it? From the second quarter earnings call, we also learned that in this quarter, over 2/3 of Tesla sales were to people who had never owned a Tesla before, and CFO Vaibhav Taneja says that they are still saying no to advertising, which they do to some extent today, but this is a dynamic play. Musk also confirmed that Tesla has paused Giga Mexico because Trump has promised to impose import tariffs on vehicles produced in Mexico. Musk says they'll wait out what happens with the election. Elon didn't give further details, but also said there's a few major automakers that have expressed interest in licensing full self-driving technology. Last time we heard it was one, so this seems to be improving as they continue to roll out the FSD V12.5. By the way, we sent out a deep dive about all this and a lot more, like the surprising FSD V12.5 videos, to our newsletter subscribers already on Tuesday. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? The link to do so is in the comments and the description below. I'll tell you a little secret, one that mostly just the OG Tesla owners know of, and they've spread the knowledge around the owners group for years. It goes like this. If you cover the V2 or V3 supercharger handle in a wet towel on a hot day, it will fool the temperature sensor in the handle, making the charging curve not drop off as quickly. See, Tesla likes to make sure the system doesn't overheat, especially when arriving with a low state of charge and pulling peak power on the hottest days. This is not a myth, it actually works, and is widely discussed around the internet and tested by EV influencers. Plugged in at 2% state of charge, ramped up to 147 kilowatts as normal, and thermal throttled at 34% down to 58 kilowatts. Slap on that soaking wet rag, and it climbed back to 119 kilowatts, where it hit the internal charge profile limit. It can also be seen visually in this charging curve example, which would have otherwise dropped. All this is because these cables are not liquid-cooled like the V4 superchargers, so Tesla holds the throttles of the charging speed via software, relying on those temperature sensors. Now, after all those years, Tesla gave a statement, or rather a reply, about this. Placing a wet cloth on supercharger cable handles does not increase charging rates and interferes with temperature monitors, creating risk of overheating or damage. Please refrain from doing this so our system can run correctly and true charging issues can be detected by our systems. While we surely agree don't try and fool the systems for safety reasons, it's a bit weird from Tesla to say it does not increase charging rates when it obviously has so far. Now, Tesla actually had a point as to why they wrote this now. Per the latest test by Kyle from Out of Spec, right after this post from Tesla, it seems that Tesla banned the wet rag trick by changing something in their systems. Now we just need to hope Tesla is actually fixing the temperature throttling completely and everywhere so we wouldn't be hit with the delays on our summer road trips.